Hello and welcome to Space Between Ideas. I'm Blaine Gates. I'd like to welcome Hugh.
Hello, I'm Hugh Mc Enaney from Ireland, currently living in Russia.
And today, so Hugh filled out one of the questionnaires, and today we're going to have a basic introduction to Hugh, some of his business ideas, and then we're going to start to plug in his ideas into the Create Crucial Insight model on the Notion page and start to see how we would do this from a startup idea. Hugh, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, I've been in Russia since 2007, mainly working as an English teacher. Many people probably know of me because I've been around for quite some time. I'm like a part of the furniture in Moscow at this stage. Yeah, most of the teaching work, when I arrived here in Moscow first, I was doing teaching work for one particular language center for about 18 months. And then I went freelance in March 2009. So March 2009 until, well, now actually, May 2020, about 11 years now, I've been freelance and working with, typically I work with like 3-4 corporate clients during the year. Well, ideally year upon year upon year. It depends obviously on their needs and my schedule. And I work with a number of schools. I'm like a CAS coordinator. It's like a part of the International Baccalaureate program with a number of local schools. I also work guide people through what's called The Artist's Way. It's a book that was written by Julia Cameron and developed into a 12-week workshop. I do some voiceover work, but I guess you could put it into a nutshell if it's possible. Teaching pays the bills. It's my bread and butter. Courses in terms of The Artist's Way and personal development courses I love to do. I've had a training business for many years in Ireland, and I'm kind of reviving that at the moment. And the voiceover work, I like the sound of my voice. And many people say I have a lovely voice. So if I can get paid for lending my voice to different projects, this is also what I do. I don't know if that sums it up well, but hopefully that'll get the message across, Blaine.
That's good. Yes, I love your lovely voice as well. And also, I've been watching some of Hugh's videos on YouTube, and he can speak Russian amazingly. Fantastic.
Thank you, Blaine. I try. People ask me about where did you learn your Russian, and I'd say na ulica. Большинство на улице. Я учил мой русский язык на улице, потому что я ленивый ученик. I'm a lazy student, and my wife is Russian. And frankly, I'm lucky that my wife is Russian because she's helped me through many situations in terms of Russian red tape, but also in terms of the language. Before our daughter was born, we spoke Russian at home most of the time. So on the one hand, I complain that her English isn't so good, but I have to take responsibility because most of the time we spoke Russian at home. Like any language, practice. I still make mistakes, but I'm not afraid to make mistakes. So I think that's a key to any new skill, which is why we're having this conversation, because when I heard about your plan, which I guess you're going to tell us more about now, I thought, why not? Let's get involved and see what happens.
Right. So everyone, as you've seen in my past YouTube videos, my focus, there are 3 different areas. One is for the entrepreneur, the person who wants to start a new business, how to flush out your ideas and get everything on paper so you can start to move forward. A second area is for mid-level managers and managers who want to have a way to start to train their staff, or as well as to be able to have a good schedule for their meetings and to be able to flush out ideas during meetings. And then also for the big boss, there's some other checklists that we can use in the future. So I think that it's a really good place to start. Now let's just see. I'm going to share my screen here. And let's start with, okay, so here we are. Now let's start with Hugh. We'll put him in the middle. Now Hugh and I, we've had a chance to look at some of his ideas, and also I've looked at his questionnaire. And let's just have Hugh discuss. There we go. Let's just have Hugh discuss his 4 main ideas. And let's just go one by one and talk about where you're coming from and what are your thoughts for the future.
Okay, well, as I said at the outset there, it's May 2020 at the moment. I've been teaching English for a long time in Moscow. I mean, I've done other projects as well, but teaching English is certainly 75–80% of my business. I put English teaching business at the top of the mind map here because there are areas I'd like to be doing less teaching and more acting more as an agent. Because yes, I can continue to teach, but I don't need to run around Moscow. And there are lots of teachers that once they have clients, of course, from me, and once they have a model for lesson planning and resources from me, they can do most of the work themselves. Of course, I have a personal relationship with past clients, and people come to me individually and say, can you teach my child or can you teach me? And I'll say, I'd love to, but I'm doing less teaching now, but I'll arrange a teacher for you, which gets into the English agency business. For a long time, for about 6 years, I've already been and acting as an agent of sorts, but not in an official capacity. I've referred teachers to students, connected them, and sometimes I've taken a commission, but not very often. So I want to formalize that and have more of a solid system that works for me and that works for other teachers as well. So I'm going to be creating employment, I'm going to be helping clients, and I'm going to be making some money in the process. Yes, we connect with past students and people that I've worked with in the past to let them know that I'm not available all the time. I'm more available for corporate clients. But I have teachers that are available from, for example, America, Canada, Australia, England, of course, Ireland as well. And people can have a mix of experience, a mix of personalities. They can choose basically which teacher meets their needs. The idea of having 5 new corporate clients, again, if I'm in a position to do this work, I will, but I don't expect to be. I typically have 2 to 3 corporate clients during a normal, I call it an academic year because I typically take time off during the summer, but let's say during a normal academic year from September until whatever, April or May, I always have about 2 or 3 clients. There's no reason why I can't increase that to about 5 corporate clients, which brings the student count even higher. It's more managing for me, but again, if I'm dealing with 5 corporate clients and dealing with my teachers, it reduces my workload, my physical teaching workload, to give me time to look at other projects. The online academy, in terms of the teaching business, I mean, we're in COVID-19 time at the moment. All of the work I do is online. I have been asked by 2 particular clients of mine who have substantial headcounts. Between one company is about 300 staff, the other company is about 700 staff worldwide. Both of them have asked me about putting a model together to look at training, yes, in terms of English teaching, but also in terms of business skills and soft skills, and seeing where the gaps are in terms of what I can't do myself or what I'm not comfortable or qualified to do, and finding out what the needs of the staff in these organizations is to develop an online academy, online institute, basically a program of online learning that covers business skills, soft skills, and English language learning for companies that don't have their own platform at the moment. And there's no reason why I can't do it because I'm already doing it on a smaller scale. So I need to have a model that's scalable and that works and that can be marketed to other organizations. So that's that's the teaching business. And as you can see, it's 75–80% of my life to date in terms of cash flow and income, and a lot to look at, a lot of meat on the bone to look at there when we go through our checklists to move these ideas forward.
Yeah, I got a question. So what's the difference between like you creating an English agency business and creating an online academy?
Well, I can tell you the English agency business is to make it more official about what I'm doing at the moment, because people have come to me, teachers have come to me and said, can you get me some work? And I have at least, 30, 40 different CVs on my computer of people from Canada and Africa and Spain and England and America who have been looking for work, maybe not looking at the moment. The English agency business is me matching students and teachers together. Okay. To if it's going to be, I frankly I don't expect it to be a big business. I expect it to be cash flow, but I expect it to give me continuity with people that I've taught in the past, with people that I'm teaching at the moment, and to create employment for teachers as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a matching exercise in terms of, well, we call it an English agency business, but I'm the agent. I find teachers for students. That's what I do.
And then the online academy would be something where people would be studying courses also, and other business courses, other material.
Mm-hmm. The online academy is, again, I just had a call with somebody today about this in one of my corporate clients, one of the organizations I work with, and we've been trashing it out. We've been fleshing it out. It's not a great time for any company to invest in anything new at the moment because of the situation we're in. However, there's no reason why a program can't be prepared, which would be basically a series of webinars, which can be used for language learners at any level. I mean, my Russian isn't bad, but I'd probably have to have a Russian English teacher doing webinars at a lower level of English so that people are comfortable, that they understand the content. When it gets to intermediate, and upper intermediate levels of English, I'd be comfortable enough doing that myself. In terms of the soft skills, it's how we manage our time. It's how these can all be put together in webinar format so that people are getting content, they're getting anecdotal evidence of what has worked for people, what doesn't work for people. I'm just sharing my experience with people, and other trainers as well will be asked to share their experience of how they've presented effectively, do's and don'ts. I mean, how they've negotiated effectively, what has worked for them, what hasn't worked for them. These are just a number of areas, but I need to look more at content, what type of content people are looking for. And that obviously comes back to getting in touch with the company and saying, can you send this list of 20 different training modules that we are planning to prepare, and what would be of interest to you. So it's a research element, and it's putting it together in an online format that appeals to people, that's cost effective, and that's going to make a difference to the bottom line when the employees have a stronger level of English and can communicate that as well. It's, as I've always said to people, particularly as their English language learners level gets stronger, many Russian people, because obviously I have experience in the Russian market, many Russian people can very, very effectively communicate in their own language. So it's transferring that high level of communication skill that people have in Russian, in their native language, and being able to convert it into English. Because people are translating things in their head all the time. They're getting confused. And I do it myself with Russian. So it's trying to make the process easier, and so that people are more fluid and more confident with their English, and content can be prepared to make that happen.
Now, when you talk about the Artist's Way, is that something that you would like to have as one of the courses within your online academy? Or is that
sorry to interrupt there, Blaine. Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, the Artist's Way has been standalone at the moment. I have myself went through the Artist's Way course. I worked in coaching and training for about 5 or 6 years in Ireland before I went traveling, actually, before I moved to Russia. And during that time, I went through the Artist's Way course 2 different times with a fantastic facilitator who was just very grounded and solid guy, and very balanced and not stressed guy. His name was Sam Young. I think he may have passed away at this stage. And I created the analogy for a number of participants that are on the course with me at the moment when I was giving them an introduction to the Artist's Way. And before I went on the course, I felt like I was in a field and I didn't know which direction to go, and there was a fence around the field and there was no exit, and it just wasn't a good feeling. After confused, basically. Yeah, it sounds terrible. Like, where do I go? What do I do? So you're kind of trapped, Now you're in a rut, for want of a better expression. I mean, I don't often see myself in a rut, but that's how I felt at the time. And I wasn't necessarily in a rut. I just didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, my time. After I finished this 12 weeks, 12 chapters is the book, 12 weeks is the course. So people are asked to go through many, many different exercises. After I felt like after I'd finished the course, I was in the field and the grass was growing and the sun was shining and the birds were singing and there were gates open all around the field. So basically I was surrounded by choices. I felt like $1 million and 10 foot tall. And that's what I want to share with people. I want people to have the experience of going through the course with me as their facilitator, but with me on the journey also. I'm not just going to be a trainer, I'm a participant as well. Do I see it as part of the online academy? I don't know is the answer to that question. I don't see why not, because it's being done at the moment. People are enjoying it. It's going well. But I also see it as being difficult to quantify from a company point of view. If I ask a company, look, will you spend whatever, 100,000 rubles for a participant to go to this course for 3 months? They're going to say, okay, are they going to learn how to sell? Are they going to learn how to deliver better service to the customer? I can't say yes or no. It's very individual. I can say that they're going to feel better. They're going to feel more confident. Does that transfer into better bottom line for the company? It depends on the director of the company. It depends on the organization. Yeah, it depends on the economy. Yeah, there's a lot of variables there. So it's definitely going to be standalone. There's no reason why it can't be offered as part of the online academy as well. And it's going well at the moment. Like, it started now. I'm in week 4 of a particular group of participants, and everybody's learning from it and gaining from it. I myself am feeling like Superman at the moment. Bulletproof. Yeah. All
right. And so what are you looking to do? So you already have a group that's doing it right now, and you want to grow the...
I'd like to grow the business. I look at this. I call it a business, but even the work I'm doing with the people at the moment, it's not lucrative at all. I'm not losing money, but I'm not making money on it. And I want to have this course available initially with me as the facilitator. Again, in terms of scalability, how scalable is it going to be? People can go through the course with me. If they want to continue to do the course themselves, then there's an element of scalability, but it's really just part of my time that I want to offer this to people to. Yes, there'll be a cash flow, but it's not going to be very large, because there's only so many of these personal development courses you can do as well. I have to be realistic and say it's hard work. It's a time commitment. So if I do 2 of these, if I run 2 programs simultaneously, it's an income for me, and it's also an opportunity to bring people on as coaching clients if people want to work with me one-on-one in a coaching capacity. That's how I look at it in terms of continuity for people coming into the Artist's Way.
So in this situation, there's no chance that you can create an online course, because you need to be there as the facilitator.
Yeah, I do need to be. Well, yeah, I do need to be there as the facilitator. But why a course could still be created like in a Udemy or edX format to have? See, because it's quite a deep experience for people. I think that it will dilute the experience if there are more than 5 or 6 people. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it could be developed into a webinar that could be made available to 100 people. Again, I need to research this myself and see, is there a demand to run something like this for 100, 150 people? It makes it more lucrative. Does the experience get diluted? Personally, I think it does, but it depends what the market says. It depends what people say. We need to look at it in more detail and see.
All right, let's move to the bottom. So you have this fantastic voice and this wonderful Irish accent. All the ladies are tuning into your channel.
If I could bottle and sell the Irish accent, huh? And my accent isn't exactly, when I was in the States as a kid, people would say, "Oh my God, you've got such a lovely brogue." Brogue is actually Irish for shoe. Yeah. Where this came from, I don't know, but there you go. And I got into the voiceover work here in Russia just by accident, just through an agency who had placed me with some students. And then they said, "We have a company here that wants voice, an English voice for a Russian corporate video. And I said, what do I do? They said, you go into studio, you read the text. Now, the thing with reading a text for, no, this is, I don't know, this is Lingua Leo and we want to promote our business internationally. It's great that you can read the text and you can have some energy and make it exciting and try to make it interesting, obviously, so that people will get involved with the business from a sales point of view or maybe from a recruitment point of view. But what happens is that people and we see this ourselves in terms of dubbing movies. Some movies are very badly dubbed. I look at some movies and I say, wow, who dubbed that movie? But I look at this from a professional point of view, and now I'm lucky that my Russian is up to a good standard that I can say, this is what you want to say in Russian, and I need to have it synchronized. So it's professional. The Russian company know that an English voice is going to be behind their product or service. And I've been lucky that, I've done games for some organizations. I've done audiobooks. How many projects have I done? I mean, I've done probably about 25 to 30 different projects for different organizations. And then my voice has used for one particular company called Puzzle English, which is a platform for English learning. So as people get to a higher level of upper intermediate or advanced, they typically hear my voice when the English language gets more complicated. And I enjoy the work. I find it interesting. It's the beauty of it is, of course, that it can be done from anywhere with the right equipment. And I'm known to quite a few agencies and to quite a few platforms that have a need for English voices. Not only my voice, other voices I've found for other clients and projects. So the business can be expanded. As I said, the ideal for me is that it's portable and it's mobile and it can be done from anywhere once the right equipment is available. And obviously once people know me and once they know the quality of the work. So yeah, that's the voiceover business that I'd like to, irishvoiceartist.com.
All right, finally we have finally we have this Young Entrepreneurs Bootcamp. What is the thought behind that one?
The Young Entrepreneurs Bootcamp, it's been at the back of my mind for a long time, for at least 3 or 4 years. And again, because of the coronavirus situation that we're in, parents who typically contact me over the summer and say, Hugh, before the summer, I'd like to send my children to Ireland with you. I'm also an agent for a number of different language schools in Ireland, which isn't on this mind map. And there's probably no need for it to be either. They've said, look, we don't want our children to travel because obviously they risk getting sick, but we do want our children to do something educational with me. And I have thought about the Young Entrepreneurs Bootcamp, and the idea is to have children probably from, I don't know exactly, but probably from about 12 to 16, coming onto the camp and not having your typical English lessons in the morning, having lessons in the mornings, for example, from 9:30 until 1 o'clock on generating a business idea, seeing it as a practical, brainstorming ideas, looking at how to market the idea, looking at how to finance the company. I mean, this doesn't need to be IPO financing. It doesn't need to be ad agency marketing. It just needs to be creative. We obviously all have access to the internet now, and children are very, very versatile in terms and resourceful of what they can find and what they can do. So it's giving children an opportunity to act like young business people. The model has actually been tested. I need to find the name of it again, but it's been tested and proven in Ireland, in America, in Australia, I'm sure in the UK as well. So there's no reason why a similar model can't be available to young Russian children here. It's getting the right venue, which I think I have actually. It's costing it, it's recruiting, and giving children, the ultimate goal of this is that children after the 3 weeks will have an opportunity to say, I'm Dimitri, this is my business, I want to sell these new plastic bottles, I think they're fantastic, will you give me some money for my business? And one of my investors will say, of course I'll give you money for your business. How much do you want? And it's a Shark Tank. You know the idea of Shark Tank or Dragon's Den? It's a kid Shark Tank. That's basically what it is. And you know, if and there are so many worldwide, of course, there are so many kids that have some great business ideas. But in Russia, I mean, Russia, okay, it takes a long time for that Soviet mentality to change, and it has changed, of course, and there's some very successful business people in Russia, but there's also a lot of people in Russia and globally who have this idea: I go to school, I go to university, I get a job, that's it. But I firmly believe that if people can set up their own business and have that sense of self-esteem that's attached to having a successful business, there's so many skills they can learn. There's so much they can offer, not only creating employment for people, just building the economy and not relying on one person or organization to pay them, relying on themselves, relying on their hearts, relying on their creativity. So I want to be able to nurture that in young people and find the right trainers that'll work with me in the project and ideally give Russia more business people. That's the plan.
All right. So now it seems like the Artist Way, it's a type of curriculum where you're going to work with people and help them to feel better about themselves and help them to feel better about their business and their families and their life. So
yep.
This is targeted at a Russian audience?
It's targeted at anybody actually. It's not necessarily a Russian audience. I mean, I have a list of potential clients in my mind and on paper. So it could be expat, it could be Russian. It doesn't necessarily need to be Russian. I'm not going to restrict it to Russian either. It can actually be English-speaking audience.
And what about
the Russian? Yeah.
What about in this so for example, an online academy, will that be focused on Russian people?
Yes, because the companies that I'll pitch this at have mainly Russian. Yeah, they have 80% Russian speaking staff. Both companies that I have in mind, the two I have in mind at the moment, but any company I pitch this to has mainly Russian staff.
Okay, all right. So from here, we've taken your main ideas and we've started to put together a Notion page for you. All right. So this is Hughs Create Crucial Insights page. All right, so today, what are we going to do today is write down what you're planning to do. All right, so let's take a look. Let's take a look at the English teaching business. And then next we will open up the State Synergies checklist. And then that'll be good for today. It'll be a nice start to this process. All right, so I've taken your 4 different categories that you discussed in the questionnaire: the English teaching business, looks like the big money business,
at the moment, yeah,
voiceover business, and the young entrepreneurs bootcamp. All right, so let's open up the English teaching business. Now, in this checklist, so the endeavor is to have a lucrative, well-managed teaching business. And within that, here are all the checklists. Now, whenever people want to do something, a new business, there's going to be a bunch of potential. So the idea is that we shape our potential and we use that potential, and then we engage with our agendas, our plans, and then through our plans, we're able to do great things. And so in this state progress checklist, the top ideas, so for example, reuses, outcomes, and actions, those are connected to do great. You can see that here: foster reuses, recognize outcomes, and perform actions. Now, when you start to put together your agendas or your plans, that's connected to the middle 3 sections. So that's connected to assumptions, plans, and scenarios. You can also see that under here: choose plans, build scenarios, and make assumptions. And then the bottom 3 are guide interactions. So that's working with other people. excite motivations. That could be exciting your own motivations, and it can also mean to excite other people's motivations, and then start to use your resources. So once you have your people and your resources brought together, and then you have your plans in place, you can start to do really great things. All right, so from your questionnaire and from our discussion, we have some ideas, okay? So now reuses, okay? So like the reuses, you can think of reuse as, you know, a year, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years down the road. How will having an English teaching business benefit you in five years down the road? How do you see things changing over the next 5 years?
How do I see things? By 2025, I'd like to be hands off the business and for it to be managed with the manager. Actually, I'd like to be by 2025. I'd like my teaching business to be to not need me all the time. Organize a business so that it can be run hands off. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Excuse me. Now, in order to do that, you need people and systems.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about State Synergies today. All right, so within the State Synergies checklist, okay, so it says identify entities or efforts that the endeavor affects or that affect the endeavor. Prepare to reuse aspects of the endeavor. Prepare to merge processes. I'm not sure how.
That's a mouthful.
So let's talk about let's talk about your clients first. Okay, so who are your clients going to be?
Businesses.
Businesses. Okay, and so in 5 years from now, how can you reuse this relationship? So maybe the first.
You mean from where we are today to 5 years' time?
Yeah.
Well, reuse the relationship. It's having programs that will provide. Have learning programs available that people know that they can start from scratch and move to proficiency.
Now, if you're working with businesses and your programs are well known, so what these businesses can do is they can also they can probably refer clients to you.
Yeah, ideally, yeah.
They can also.
So this is a reuse of the current business. This is a reuse of the people area, yeah.
Yeah. So think about the people within these businesses, and how do you foresee those people in the future, and how can they help you and your business in the future?
Yeah, I mean, opening doors for other clients. Recommendations. I mean, refer clients as part of the recommendations. What else can they do? How to learn service class towards proficiency. Recommendations.
What is it called? Like if they write a review on your website.
Oh yeah, okay. Positive reviews, yeah. Favorable reviews.
Favorable.
No, we don't want negative reviews. We want favorable, positive, optimistic reviews.
Now this is the American spelling. In Ireland, do you have a U there?
We do, and certainly have a U there.
In Canada, we also have a U there.
Do you? Really? I thought Canada kept the same rules as American English. There you go. Every day's a school day. Huh? I mean, we never know what clients are going to create. Well, do we know exactly? I guess these are the ideal in, for example, 5 years or even 3 years down the road. Then this is how it works with word of mouth, where clients are going to be able to say, "I've worked with Hugh. I found him effective. He was a good teacher, and now he has a business that has a program that works. He has a team of qualified teachers that work with him. He's not here very often, but I can guarantee you that you'll get results."
Okay, so tell me those reviews again. So you said he has a team.
He has a professional team of teachers that provides professional team of teachers that get results.
Good. That's a fantastic review.
It is. Yeah, I like it myself. If only I thought of that myself. There you go.
Fantastic. Now, all right, so let's move into the peers. So peers are, for example, they could be the other teachers, the teachers in your program.
Yeah.
All right, so how can those teachers, how can you see the relationship developing in the future with those teachers?
Good cash flow and loyalty to the business. Getting well paid and remaining loyal. They get well paid and they don't jump ship.
Okay. Now, some of the, I assume that because earlier you mentioned that, so if we go back to this page, you mentioned that a reuse would be for you to have a business that can be run hands off. Now that means that some of these teachers are going to have to become
managers.
So develop as
managers.
Managers. And all right, now how about what are some of the providers that will be giving you guys services for your business?
Well, I guess Cambridge and Oxford, like publishers.
Publishers, okay. And how can those publishers, what can they do for you in the future as your relationship gets better?
They can, again, it's about referrals. I mean, they can say that we've worked with Hugh's business for refer clients. What's the word I'm thinking of? Professionalism or reviews. What's the word? Not refer clients is one, but I guess there's another one. Emphasize professionalism. Connect you to other people. To other teachers in schools, yeah. I don't know what else the publishers can do. Who else can be the providers? It's hard to know in 3 years. I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I guess there's IT elements here as well. There's what else here? Public providers.
So you have some online educational.
Yeah, materials, resources. Yeah.
And how can those online educational platforms help?
How can the online educational platforms help? The online educational platforms can help by doing what exactly, Blaine? I don't know.
They can give you information for how the industry is changing.
Yeah, keep me up to date, I guess. Yeah, provide up to date information.
Okay. Next, we have past and future. How do you see your business? Can you just give me like a couple of phases? Like, so from now, how do you see some of the phases that your business will go through, and what is the ultimate goal?
I see the plan is to get in touch with people that I have worked with in the past and get in contact with previous corporate clients. Get in touch with previous corporate clients and let them know that there are teachers available to work to guide their staff through to language learning from zero to hero. What else? We get in touch with previous corporate clients. Marketing. Advise them of what's available. Market services.
Mm-hmm. Services.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And who are some of those people so marketing services, who will be providing market services for you? That would be
Well, that could be outsourced as well. I mean, you think of providers. Providers could be. Providers could also be outsourced marketing consultants, marketing PA. Put in a PA. Virtual PA, marketing PA, yeah.
All right. And how will that person benefit you in the long term?
Reduce, in the long term, significantly reduce my admin time.
Okay. All right. So this is a good start. Now, as you can see, we talked about state synergies. All right. So these are now the important thing about why we talk about synergies in step one of the program, or the program of Create Crucial Insight, is because I think that it's important that when we start to think about how we're going to plan, we need to think about, what are people going to be saying about us in a couple of years from now? And what do we want to build in a couple of years from now? And the main focus is that we need to work with other people. And sometimes we forget that really at the end of the day, it's those relationships that are going to build our businesses. It's the relationships that are going to be able to solve the problems. And it's those relationships that are going to be providing all of these benefits that you're looking for in your business. All right, so let's just, so keeping in mind these things, let's take 2 or 3 of these things and put it back onto your state progress checklist. So here we have that checklist. We have more time to work on other projects, organize the business so that it can be run hands off. So let's pick 2 or 3 things. Let's open up the State Synergies again, and let's make a checkbox. So we have the checkbox. Now pick, what are the 3 that you really want to focus on? 3 that are really important for you to think about right now.
Well, the first is to work on right now is to get in touch with previous corporate clients.
I mean, like three areas that you really think are the most important.
Get in touch with previous corporate clients, past and future. Down.
Okay, here we are.
Refer clients favorite. Well, reviews. I mean, gather reviews as well. But this is a research stage. Well, it's not. It's a research stage to build a business. It's having a Google surveys available for people that I've worked with in the past. I don't know where we put that here. Google Docs to send to. Actually, I just had a call last night from somebody who suggested what's it called? Constant Contact. It's a special program that can ensure people are on my database because I need the favorable reviews.
And let's pick one more.
One more in terms of doing something, yeah.
Yeah, just really there are top priority items on these lists. Obviously, they're all important, but let's move some of these ideas onto the other.
Reduce admin time.
Reduce admin time. That sounds like that's the one. Here we are. Reduce.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take it back here, and we have. Now, we already kind of have reduced admin time here. And we'll put one more. All right, so there we go. So today what we've done, we've looked through the State Synergies checklist. We've thought about the people that we're going to be working with, and we have come up with the ideas that you'd like to have more time in the future. And in order to do that, you would like to organize a business so that it can be run hands-off. And also that the program, one of the most important reuses will be to generate favorable reviews so that people say that he has a professional team of teachers that get results. I think that's a fantastic.
We need to increase that number of 300,000 needs to be increased significantly.
All right, what's the number?
3 million.
3 million. So we need to add a zero.
Yeah, why not? Add a zero. Makes it easier.
All right, so next time we will go into the outcomes. And for today, I think that we've done a good job of thinking about, we took a look at the English teaching business, and we took a look at the State Synergies checklist. We've see the importance of those relationships in the future. And let me just stop this sharing here. So I'm glad we got the chance to chat today and begin this process of going through each of these checklists. I think that's a really great start. I hope that everybody watching this video has had the opportunity to think about what they're trying to get accomplished. I hope that everyone has the opportunity to create a mind map and put the ideas of what you'd like to do, what you're planning on doing, and then also to think about the reuses. Who are the people that you're going to work with in the future, and how will those relationships benefit you? Now, obviously, the most important point is that you need to be nice to people in order for those relationships
that helps, yeah.
and also be professional and to have clear outlines and so that people can work well together. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming and visiting Space Between Ideas today, and I'll see you next time.